The rain-slicked streets of Brooklyn gleamed under the sodium lamps like veins of molten silver, and Alex Harper's heart hammered against his ribs as if it knew the night was about to shatter everything. Jake Malone, his best friend since freshman year at NYU, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy grin that could disarm a room, slammed back another shot of whiskey, his eyes glassy and wild, and before Alex could blink, Jake's lips crashed into his with the force of a storm long brewing. "Fuck, Alex," Jake whispered hoarsely against his mouth, tasting of bourbon and regret. "Why does this feel right?" Alex pulled back first, his breath catching in the humid air of the dive bar's back alley, the distant honk of taxis a mocking underscore to the chaos erupting inside him. The kiss lingered like smoke, acrid and intoxicating, Jake's hands still fisted in the front of Alex's damp Henley shirt, as if anchoring himself against the tide of what he'd just done. They'd come here to celebrate Jake's promotion at the ad agency. Another rung up the ladder in their shared dream of conquering Manhattan. But one tipsy round had bled into 3, then 5, and now this. Alex's mind raced. Straight Jake. Best friend Jake. The guy who'd high-fived him through every coming-out heartbreak, every disastrous grinder date, with that bro-code solidarity that felt like safety. Until now. "Jake, what the hell?" Alex managed, his voice a ragged whisper, shoving gently at Jake's chest. The alley smelled of garbage and wet asphalt, a far cry from the polished lofts they both called home in Williamsburg, but it suited the rawness of the moment. Jake's face crumpled, that signature cocky tilt to his jaw gone, replaced by something vulnerable, almost boyish, under the flickering exit sign. "I don't know, man. I saw you laughing with that bartender, and it hit me, like a goddamn freight train." Jake released him, stepping back to rake a hand through his rain-mussed blonde hair, his blue eyes darting away toward the alley's mouth where puddles reflected the bar's neon open sign. He was 32, same as Alex, but tonight he looked younger, stripped bare. "We've been dancing around this shit forever, haven't we? The late-night texts, the way I always crash at your place after fights with Sarah. It's not just bros being brothers." Alex's stomach twisted. Sarah. Jake's on-again, off-again girlfriend of 3 years. The bubbly graphic designer who'd once confided in Alex over mimosas that she suspected Jake was bi-curious but too scared to admit it. Alex had laughed it off then, protective instincts kicking in, because admitting the truth meant admitting his own buried ache. He'd loved Jake since that rainy orientation week in 2011, when they'd bonded over bad dorm pizza and dreams of escaping their small-town pasts. Alex from the Bible Belt suburbs of Atlanta, Jake from the Rust Belt grit of Buffalo. Love, the kind that clawed at your insides and rewrote your skyline. But Alex had buried it deep, under layers of sarcasm and shared six-packs, because losing Jake wasn't an option. Not when he was the one constant in Alex's kaleidoscope life. The freelance graphic gigs that paid the rent, barely. The string of boyfriends who never stuck, the quiet terror of turning 30 and wondering if he'd ever build something real. "You're drunk," Alex said finally, forcing a laugh that sounded hollow even to him. "Tomorrow you'll wake up, blame the Jameson, and we'll pretend this was just a stupid dare." Jake's eyes snapped back, fierce now, the rain picking up to patter against the overflowing dumpster like impatient fingers. "I'm not that drunk, Alex, and neither are you. Tell me you haven't felt it too, the way we fit like puzzle pieces someone jammed apart." He stepped closer again, close enough that Alex could smell the faint cedar of his cologne mixed with bar smoke. "Remember that road trip to the Cape last summer? When we got lost in Provincetown and ended up at that drag brunch? You looked at me like I was the only guy in the room." Alex swallowed hard, memories flooding. The salty crash of waves, Jake shirtless on the beach, laughing as they buried each other in sand. The unspoken electricity when their eyes met across the bonfire. Yeah, he'd felt it, every goddamn time. But voicing it, that was handing Jake a loaded gun. "Jake, you've got Sarah, and a life that's straight as an arrow. This," he gestured wildly between them, "this is a grenade. Pull the pin and boom. Friendships don't survive explosions." The bar door banged open then, spilling laughter and classic rock into the alley, and a couple stumbled out, arms linked, oblivious to the tension. Jake glanced at them, then back at Alex, his expression hardening into resolve. What if I don't want straight anymore? What if I've been lying to myself? And to you, because it's easier. He reached out, thumb brushing Alex's jaw in a touch so tender it stole the air from Alex's lungs. Come back inside. Let's talk. Or not talk. Just be. Against every screaming instinct, Alex nodded. They re-entered the dim, sticky warmth of the rusty nail, Jake's hand ghosting the small of Alex's back, a touch that sent sparks up his spine. The jukebox wailed Springsteen, Thunder Road, fittingly anthemic, and they slid into their corner booth, the one with the carved initials from God knows. More drinks arrived unbidden, courtesy of the bartender who'd clearly clocked the vibe, and as the whiskey burned down, words tumbled out. Jake confessed first, voice low over the clink of glasses. The confusion in high school, the experiments with dorm mates in college that he chalked up to experimentation. The way Sarah's predictability had started feeling like a cage. She's great, Alex. Safe. But you're the storm. The one that makes me feel alive. Alex listened, heart pounding, sharing his own fragments. The rejection from his conservative family after coming out at 19. The parade of hookups that left him emptier. The quiet vigil of loving Jake from the shadows. By last call, the bar emptying like a receding tide, they'd kissed again. Slower this time, exploratory, Jake's stubble rough against Alex's smoother skin, hands tentative but seeking. It was messy, profound, a dam breaking after years of pressure. They stumbled out into the cab ride home, Jake's head on Alex's shoulder, the city blurring past in streaks of light. Alex's apartment loomed like a sanctuary, the loft with its exposed brick and mismatched furniture, posters of Basquiat and Bowie curling at the edges. Inside, they collapsed onto the worn leather couch, the kiss evolving into something deeper, clothes shedding in a haze of need and revelation. No rush, no frenzy, just the unhurried mapping of bodies long memorized in secret. Jake's laugh bubbled up when Alex traced the tattoo on his ribcage, a compass rose inked during a post-breakup bender. Points north to freedom, Jake murmured, pulling Alex closer. Dawn crept in through the blinds, painting their tangled limbs in gold, and for the first time, Alex didn't wake with dread. Hope, fragile as it was, bloomed, but mornings after tipsy nights have a way of souring. Jake's phone buzzed relentlessly on the coffee table, Sarah's name flashing like a warning siren. He groaned, burying his face in Alex's neck. Ignore it, Alex whispered, but Jake sat up, guilt etching lines around his eyes. I have to. She's expecting me for brunch. Fuck. Alex, what are we doing? We. Alex echoed the word a knife twist. You mean you. I'm all in, Jake. Have been for years. But if you're gonna bolt. I'm not bolting. Jake dressed hastily, buttoning his shirt with fumbling fingers, avoiding Alex's gaze. This changes everything. Good everything. Give me today to sort it. Tonight, my place. Pizza and truth bombs. Promise. He kissed Alex fiercely at the door, a vow sealed in salt and coffee breath, then vanished into the elevator like a ghost. Alex spent the day in a fog, sketching logos for a client brief that blurred into nonsense, his mind replaying the night's confessions. By evening, anticipation gnawed at him. Texts from Jake sporadic, affectionate emojis masking the undercurrent of panic. He arrived at Jake's Bushwick brownstone with a bottle of red and a heart on his sleeve, only to find the door ajar, voices murmuring inside. Peering through the crack, Alex's world tilted. Jake on the couch, Sarah curled against him, her head on his shoulder as he stroked her hair, murmuring apologies. It was a mistake, babe. Too much booze, old habits with Alex. He's like a brother, nothing more. The words landed like shrapnel, each one embedding deeper. Alex backed away, silent as a shadow, the wine bottle slipping from numb fingers to shatter on the stoop. Betrayal, hot and viscous, flooded his veins. He didn't confront them. Not then. Instead, he ghosted, blocked Jake's number, deleted the years of photos from his phone, threw himself into work until his eyes burned. Weeks blurred into a numb routine. Gym at dawn, freelance hustles till midnight, the occasional bar crawl with acquaintances who weren't him. But Jake's absence was a phantom limb, aching with every step. It was a mutual friend, Mia from their old improv troupe, who shattered the silence 2 months later. Jake's a mess, Alex. Broke up with Sarah for good. But he's been asking about you nonstop. Says he fucked up, that the brother line was panic talking. She sipped her latte in the crowded cafe, eyes sympathetic. He misses you. Like, misses you. Alex stared into his untouched espresso, the foam swirling like storm clouds. Forgiveness wasn't a light switch. It was a reckoning. But the pull, the magnetic north of Jake's compass, tugged inexorably. Tell him to meet me at the Rusty Nail. Friday. No shots. Just us. Friday arrived with a crisp autumn bite, leaves skittering across Brooklyn's sidewalks like confetti from a canceled parade. Alex arrived early at the Rusty Nail, claiming their booth with a single malt neat, the burn steadying his nerves. The bar hummed with afterwork chatter, pool cues cracking like distant thunder. But his focus narrowed to the door, every chime a potential detonation. Jake walked in at 8:15, looking like he'd aged a decade in 2 months. Hollows under his eyes, jaw shadowed, that broad frame slumped in a faded hoodie Alex recognized from their college days. He spotted Alex immediately, freezing mid-stride, then weaving through the crowd with the caution of a man approaching a live wire. "Hey!" he said, sliding into the seat opposite, voice rough as gravel. No grin this time, just raw, unfiltered Jake. "Hey!" Alex pushed a glass of water his way, ice clinking like accusations. "No whiskey. We're doing this sober." Jake nodded, fingers drumming the scarred tabletop, tracing the initials JNA 15. They'd carved on a whim after acing finals. Fair. God. Alex, I don't even know where to start. That night, it wasn't the alcohol. It was me, finally seeing what was right there. He leaned forward, elbows on knees, the posture of supplication. Saying that shit to Sarah? Pure cowardice. I panicked because loving you meant dismantling my whole facade. The straight guy armor I'd worn so long it chafed. Alex's throat tightened. The words a bomb and a barb. You dismantled us, Jake. Ghosted me for weeks. Then that voicemail. Just checking in, bro. Like we hadn't mapped each other's souls. He hadn't listened to the full message, deleting it mid-sentence. But the echo lingered. I get fear. Hell, I lived it. Coming out to my folks, watching Dad's face go stone cold. Mom's Bible quotes like daggers. But you chose the lie. Again. The bartender swung by, refilling Alex's drink with a knowing nod, and Jake waited until the clatter faded. I did, and it gutted me. After Sarah, I went to therapy. Yeah, me, the guy who mocked shrinks. Turns out I'm bi, Alex, or queer, or whatever label fits. But labels don't matter. You do. I pushed you away because losing you forever? Unthinkable. His hand inched across the table, stopping short of Alex's, a bridge half built. Forgive me? Or at least hear me out. Alex exhaled, the weight of months easing fractionally. They talked then, really talked. For hours, the bar thinning around them like exhaled breath. Jake spilled the therapy breakthroughs. The repressed memories of fumbling kisses with a high school teammate. The relief of naming his attractions without shame. Alex countered with his own scars. The ex who outed him at work. The family estrangement that left holidays hollow. Laughter crept in, tentative, over shared absurdities. Jake's failed attempt at a grinder profile. What even is mask for mask? Alex's disastrous speed dating fiasco with a vegan activist. By closing time, the air between them hummed with possibility, not peril. Outside, under a canopy of stars smudged by city haze, Jake finally bridged the gap, fingers lacing with Alex's. Second chance? He asked, voice a plea wrapped in hope. Alex searched those blue eyes, seeing the boy from orientation week, the man who'd held him through fevers and failures. One, but slow. No more grenades. They started tentative. Coffee dates in sun-dappled parks, movie nights with platonic buffers that dissolved into lingering touches. Jake ended things with Sarah cleanly, A closure brunch Alex encouraged from afar, respecting the boundaries they'd redrawn. Their first real date was unscripted. A ferry ride to Staten Island, wind whipping their scarves, Jake's arm around Alex's waist as the Statue of Liberty loomed like a sentinel of new beginnings. To liberty, Jake toasted with a thermos of spiked cider, and Alex laughed, the sound free and full. But love, especially the reclaimed kind, doesn't bloom without thorns. Enter Ryan Caldwell, Jake's new colleague at the agency. A sharp-witted copywriter with a megawatt smile and a history of dating confused guys. Or so the office grapevine whispered. Ryan flirted shamelessly from day one. Lingering eye contact in meetings, accidental brushes in the break room, invitations to after-hours happy hours Jake politely declined but mentioned offhand to Alex over dinner. It's nothing, Jake insisted one night, chopping onions for pasta in Alex's kitchen. The sizzle of garlic a comforting underscore. Guys just friendly, persistent, but harmless. Alex stirred the sauce jaw tight. Friendly like the bartender that night? Or the lacrosse jock in college you experimented with? Insecurity, that old specter, reared its head, fueled by years of being the safe friend, the backup plan. Jake set down the knife, turning Alex gently by the shoulders. Hey, that's past haunting future. Ryan's a flirt. You're my anchor. He kissed Alex then, slow and sure, hands steady on his hips, chasing shadows away. But doubt lingered, a low hum beneath their harmony. Thanksgiving loomed, a minefield for fractured families. Alex's parents had thawed slightly post coming out, holiday cards now included if stiffly worded, but Jake's Buffalo clan was a fortress of machismo. Dad a retired steelworker with Trump stickers on his truck. Mom the enabler who baked pies to paper over cracks. Jake hadn't told them about Alex. Not yet, citing timing that stretched like taffy. We'll do our own thing, Alex suggested, envisioning a cozy spread with Mia and a few queer friends from his design collective. Turkey, drag queen Zoom cameos, zero passive aggression. Jake agreed, but the week before, Ryan cornered him at the office holiday party. A glittering affair at a midtown loft, fairy lights and spiked eggnog flowing. Alex was home nursing a cold, bundled in flannel, oblivious until Jake's 2 a.m. call. Slurred apologies, the clink of ice in a glass. Ryan kissed me, Alex. Pulled away, but shit, it happened. I was buzzed, stressed about the folks, and he was there, saying all the right things about being out and proud. Alex's world narrowed to the phone's glow, fever spiking with betrayal's chill. You let him? After everything. The words cracked like thin ice. I stopped it, swear. But it made me think. Am I ready for this? For us, in the open? My dad's already side-eyeing the city changes a man bullshit. Jake's voice broke, vulnerability bleeding through the static. I love you, Alex, but fear's a bitch. The call ended in tears. Alex is silent, Jake's a torrent, and the next days were radio silence, a chasm widening. Alex threw himself into work, finalizing a pitch for a queer-owned coffee brand. The irony bitter. Mia dragged him to a pop-up art show in Chelsea, where vibrant murals of intertwined bodies mocked his solitude. He's scared, babe, she said over cheap wine. But scared doesn't mean stopping. By Thanksgiving Eve, resolve hardened in Alex's chest. He showed up at Jake's unannounced, pie in hand, pecan, from his mom's recipe, a peace offering laced with steel. Jake answered in sweatpants, eyes red-rimmed, the apartment a mess of takeout boxes and unpacked boxes from his recent move. Alex. No. Listen. Alex pushed inside, setting the pie on the counter. Fears valid. Mine too, the what-ifs, the family fallout. But we don't get to half-ass this. If Ryan's a symptom, not a slip, then say it. Otherwise, we're all in. Labels, holidays, the messy middle. Jake sank onto the couch, head in hands. It's not Ryan. It's me, terrified of becoming the family pariah. Dad's already on me about settling down with a nice girl. But you're the nice everything. He looked up, tears tracking. I told them today. About us. Ma cried, happy tears, I think. Dad grunted, said, long as you're happy, son. It's a start. Relief crashed over Alex like a wave, pulling him down beside Jake. They held each other, the pie forgotten, whispers turning to kisses that rebuilt bridges. Thanksgiving dawned with mimosas and Mia's infectious laughter. Jake's hand in Alex's under the table, a quiet defiance. Winter deepened, their rhythm solidifying. Weekend hikes in the Palisades. Jake's agency holiday card, featuring a subtle rainbow filter. Alex snuck in. Ryan backed off after a pointed email from Jake. Boundaries drawn in professional ink. But the real test came in February, when Alex's portfolio landed him a dream gig, lead designer for a national LGBTQ+ advocacy campaign, shooting on location in San Francisco. "It's 2 weeks," Alex explained over dim sum in Chinatown, chopsticks pausing midair. Bay Area vibes, rainbows everywhere. Come for the last weekend. Jake's fork hovered, excitement warring with something shadowed. "I'd love to, but..." The pitch for the Miller accounts crunching. Deadlines. He forced a smile, but Alex saw the flinch, the old pattern of proximity breeding panic. "Or is it Dad's birthday barbecue? The one where Uncle Ray grills you about grandkids?" Alex's tone sharpened, the subtext heavy. Jake sighed, setting down his utensils. "Both. Look, it's not avoidance. I want us to work, but every step out feels like jumping without a net." The argument simmered low that night, words like embers. Alex accusing Jake of foot-dragging, Jake defending his pace as self-preservation. They slept back-to-back, the space between a chasm. Alex boarded the flight alone, the Golden Gate a shimmering promise through the window, but his heart lagged in Brooklyn. San Francisco enveloped him, vibrant Castro streets, murals of Harvey Milk gazing benevolently. The campaign's creative director, a flamboyant mentor named Theo who saw through Alex's forced smiles. "Darling, love's a revolution," Theo declared over oysters at Zuni's. "Don't let fear be the oppressor." Late nights in the studio birthed bold visuals. Intertwined hands shattering chains, skylines in pride colors. But Jake's texts dwindled. Work excuses, then silence, until a voicemail on day 10. "Miss you. Thinking about that night in the alley. Call when you can." Alex did, from a foggy pier, waves crashing like unresolved chords. "I need more than miss you, Jake. I need you showing up, not just surviving." "I know. I'm trying." Booked the flight for Friday. "See you soon." The relief was tentative, laced with the unspoken. Trust, once cracked, mends slowly. Jake's arrival in San Francisco was a whirlwind of airport hugs and fog-draped drives. The city's hills a metaphor for their uphill climb. Alex had secured a spare room at Theo's Victorian in the Haight. All velvet drapes and incense, a far cry from Brooklyn's grit. That first night, they wandered the Mission's murals, taqueria lights casting golden halos. Jake's fingers tracing Alex's knuckles as they shared horchata under star-pricked skies. "This place," Jake murmured. "It's like breathing for the first time. No hiding." Alex squeezed his hand, the Castro's pulse, drag brunches and rainbow crosswalks. A bomb. "Yeah, but back home, it's our revolution to wage." They made love that night in the guest room, slow and reverent. Bodies a language of amends. Jake's whispers of "I love you," a mantra against the dawn. The campaign wrap party was a riot of color. Theo's loft overlooking the bay, fairy lights strung like constellations, a DJ spinning RuPaul anthems. Jake, out of his element but game, donned a subtle pride pin Alex had gifted him, mingling with activists and artists who peppered him with stories of resilience. Ryan, who'd transferred to the agency's SF branch, small world be damned, made an appearance, all charm and champagne flutes, but Jake shut it down cold. "Taken, man." Happily. Emboldened, Jake proposed a detour before flying back. A drive up the coast to Muir Woods, ancient redwoods towering like silent witnesses. They hiked hand in hand, the forest floor spongy underfoot, sunlight dappling through canopy like confetti. At a secluded grove, Jake dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but a carved wooden heart from a roadside stand, etched with "North to you." "Not a proposal," he said, voice thick, "but a promise to keep showing up." Tears stung Alex's eyes, the gesture humanistic in its imperfection. A talisman against storms. "I believe you," he whispered, pulling Jake up for a kiss that tasted of pine and possibility. Spring unfurled back in New York, their lives intertwining like ivy. Joint lease on a larger loft in Greenpoint, weekends volunteering at the Ali Forney Center for Homeless LGBTQ+ youth, where Jake's easy rapport with the kids, sharing stories of his own lost boy days, melted Alex's lingering doubts. They navigated family waters too. Alex's folks visiting for a tentative Mother's Day brunch, Jake charming mom with dad jokes while dad thawed over Nick's talk. Jake's Buffalo clan proved tougher. A summer barbecue where Uncle Ray's beer-fueled barbs, city turned you soft, drew blood, but Jake stood firm, arm around Alex's waist. "Love's not soft, Uncle. It's steel." Yet conflict brewed in subtler veins. The agency promoted Jake to creative director, a coup that meant longer hours, schmoozing clients at steakhouse dinners where heteronormativity reigned. Alex, thriving in his advocacy role, felt the strain. Cancelled date nights, Jake's exhaustion morphing into irritability. "It's work, babe," he'd snap over cold takeout. "Can't drop everything." One humid July evening, it boiled over. Alex had planned a rooftop picnic, string lights, his mom's fried chicken recipe, to celebrate their 6-month official anniversary. Jake arrived late, tie askew, reeking of scotch from a client schmooze. "Theo called today." Alex started voice even. "SF office wants me for a permanent role. Led creative. It's huge." Jake's fork paused midair, eyes narrowing. "Permanent? As in move?" The words hung heavy, the skyline twinkling mockingly. "Or commute. But yeah, it's a dream." Alex reached for him, but Jake pulled back, chair scraping. "And what about us? I finally get my footing here. Our place, the routine, and you want to bail." Accusation laced his tone, fear masquerading as anger. Alex's chest tightened. "Bail? This is growth, Jake. For me. For us if we adapt." But Jake's face closed like a vault, the old armor clanging back into place. "Growth sounds like code for escape. Like Ryan. Flirty, fabulous SF. Away from my small-town baggage." The name drop was a low blow, dredging ghosts. Alex stood, plate clattering. "Don't weaponize that. You're projecting. Scared I'll outpace you, leave you in the dust." The fight escalated, voices rising over the distant wail of sirens. Jake accusing Alex of selfishness. Alex hurling Jake's workaholism as avoidance. It ended with Jake storming out, "Need air," leaving Alex amid scattered napkins, tears hot on his cheeks. The next days were a cold war. Polite texts, separate beds in their shared space. Mia mediated over burgers at Shake Shack. "He's terrified of losing you, Alex. Therapy's unearthing shit." Abandonment from his folks' divorce. That teammate who ghosted after their hookup. Empathy warred with exhaustion in Alex's gut. Was love endurance, or knowing when to fold? Reconciliation came circuitously via a crisis. August brought wildfires raging out west, smoke hazing the eastern skies in sympathy. But closer to home, the Ali Forney Center faced funding cuts, a bureaucratic betrayal that hit Alex like a gut punch. He threw himself into a fundraiser, a gala at the Stonewall Inn, drag performances and donor pitches. Jake roped in as MC despite his hesitance. The night shimmered with urgency. Sequins and spotlights, speeches on resilience echoing off walls etched with history. Jake, in a tailored vest that hugged his frame, nailed his intro voice steady, humor landing, a quiet, for the kids who remind me of my younger self drawing applause. Backstage, amid the bustle, their eyes met across the green room, a spark reigniting. After, in the alley behind the inn, echoing their fateful night, Jake pulled Alex into shadows. "You were right. About growth. I got scared because SF means change and change means risk. But losing you? That's the real wildfire." He cupped Alex's face, thumbs tracing cheekbones. "Go if it's your heart. I'll follow, or we'll bridge the miles. Whatever it takes." Alex leaned in, foreheads touching. It's not leaving if we're rooted together. The kiss was fierce, a reclamation, smoke-scented air thick with promise. Fall gilded the city, decisions crystallizing. Alex negotiated a hybrid SF New York role, quarterly immersions preserving their Brooklyn base. Jake, Boyd, pitched a queer-inclusive campaign at work, earning kudos and a corner office. They adopted a rescue mutt, Luna, a scruffy terrier with Jake's lopsided grin, turning their loft into a haven of toys and tail wags. Yet the deepest conflict loomed unspoken: Jake's health. Late October, during a routine checkup, a shadow on his lung scan, benign, doc said, but biopsy recommended. Probably nothing. Jake downplayed over pancakes, but his eyes betrayed the tremor. Alex's world tilted anew, memories of his aunt's cancer battle flashing. Wasted frames, chemo's cruel alchemy. We tell no one yet, Jake insisted. Don't want pity parties. But secrecy bred isolation. Jake withdrawing into work, Alex tiptoeing around the elephant. The biopsy eve, they drove to Coney Island, boardwalk empty under a bruised sky. Ferris wheel lights blinked like distant hopes as they walked arm in arm. If it's bad, Jake said finally, voice cracking, promise you'll remember the good. The Tipsy nights, the redwoods, Luna's zoom eyes. Alex halted, turning Jake to face him, Atlantic roar underscoring resolve. No ifs. It's us against it. Always. They cried then, salt mingling with sea spray, vowing transparency. No more hiding. Results came mid-November. Clear, a false alarm from old scarring. Relief was euphoric, a second honeymoon. Thanksgiving in Buffalo, Jake's family toasting to the Harpers. Dad's gruff proud of you, son the cherry. Holidays blurred into joy. Hanukkah lax with Alex's folks via Zoom. New Year's Eve on their rooftop, fireworks bursting like confessions. But humanism demands balance. Not all arcs bend happy. In the quiet of January, Ryan resurfaced, not as threat, but ally. Laid off in agency cuts, he crashed on their couch for a week, sharing war stories over whiskey, sober now mostly. You too, he said one night, nursing black coffee. You're the real deal. Don't fuck it up like I did with my exes. It was closure, a mirror reflecting their growth. Spring 2026 dawned with Alex's SF stint, Jake joining for a weekend of Alcatraz tours and sourdough feasts. Back in New York, they mentored at Ali Forney, Jake's compass tattoo now matched by Alex's. A shared ink under starlight. Betrayals faded to lessons, conflicts to character. Their story a tapestry of American grit. Diverse, flawed, enduring. Yet no tale of reclaimed love shies from its shadows. The humanistic heart beats in the gray. June brought Jake's 30th high school reunion. A Buffalo summons Alex dreaded. The Rust Belt town a time capsule of Jake's armored youth. It'll be fine, Jake assured, packing polos. Quick in and out. Then we're back to our circus. The flight was turbulent, mirroring Alex's unease, but they landed laughing over peanuts, renting a Mustang convertible for the drive north. Buffalo greeted them with lake effect chill. Jake's childhood home a squat rancher with faded siding. Mom's hugs enveloping, Dad's handshake firmer than last visit. The reunion unfolded in a VFW hall. Streamers and skepticism. Old jocks slapping Jake's back, whispers trailing Alex like smoke. Enter Tommy Riley, the lacrosse teammate, now a divorced contractor with a paunch and a predatory gleam. Malone, heard you're playing for the other team now. Tommy boomed over lukewarm beer, arms slung heavy around Jake's shoulders. That true? Or just city bullshit? Jake stiffened, but his smile held. Steel forged in therapy. True as steel, Tom. Alex, here's my partner. Best damn thing in my life. The room hushed fractionally, eyes darting. But Jake pressed on, pulling Alex into a casual kiss that silenced the din. Tommy's laugh barked false. Kidding, man. Live and let live. But later, in the parking lot, he cornered Jake by the Mustang. You were wild back then that night after regionals? Remember? Thought we had something. The implication hung, a ghost of repression. Jake shut it down, voice low thunder. That was kids fumbling. I'm a man now with a man I love. Back off. Alex, witnessing from shadows, swelled with pride and a pang of the past's persistence. The drive home was cathartic, windows down, Bruce Springsteen blasting Born to Run. "You slayed that dragon," Alex said, hand on Jake's thigh. "Dragons come in packs," Jake replied, but his grip tightened, anchoring. Summer solstice marked their first anniversary. Not the alley night, but the booth reconciliation. They escaped to the Catskills, a cabin by a whispering brook, no Wi-Fi, just fireflies and folktales. Evenings blurred into mornings. Hikes to waterfalls, Jake sketching ad concepts on napkins, Alex photographing their silhouettes against dusk. One night, under a meteor shower, Jake turned serious. "Marry me? Not tomorrow, but someday. When the world's ready or when we are." Alex's yes was a sob. The ring a simple band they'd engrave later, Tipsy to forever. It wasn't fairy tale. It was them, dramatic detours, thrilling truths, emotional excavations. Autumn whispered changes. Alex's campaign won a Clio, spotlights on queer visibility. Jake co-producing a doc-on by Erasure that premiered at Tribeca. Conflicts arose, budget crunches, creative clashes, but they navigated with tools honed. Date nights enforced, therapy tag teams. Winter's cusp brought the ultimate humanism. Tragedy's brushstroke. Jake's dad, Frank, collapsed at the steel mill holiday party. Heart attack, sudden as a blackout. They raced to Buffalo. Snow-snarled roads a blur. ICU beeps a dirge. Frank lingered 3 days, tubes snaking, eyes meeting Jake's with unspoken amends. "Brought the city boy, eh?" he rasped, hand trembling toward Alex. "Take care of my kid." "We take care of each other," Alex said, throat tight. Frank nodded, a ghost of smile, then slipped away at dawn, Mom's wail echoing down sterile halls. The funeral was a raw requiem. Bagpipes over graveled paths, Jake's eulogy a tapestry of steel and softness. "Dad taught me strength. Alex, the heart in it." Grief bound them tighter. Holidays muted but meaningful. Luna curled between. Toasts to absent fathers. Spring 2027 bloomed resilient. A vow renewal in Central Park. Cherry blossoms confetti. Mia officiating with bawdy vows. Friends gathered, Theo from SF. Ryan now a playwright in Chicago. A circle of chosen family. Jake's mom danced with Alex, whispering, "Welcome, son." Tears salting her smile. Years folded like an accordion. Adoptions talked. Careers crested. Betrayals long buried. At 40, they mentored wide-eyed queers at NYU. Jake's compass guiding. Alex's sketches inspiring. The alley kiss? Mythic now. Retold over dinners. From tipsy spark to eternal flame. In the end, not tragic, not wholly triumphant. Their story affirmed the American mosaic. Fractured, fierce, human. Love, they learned, isn't hiding feelings. It's unveiling them, layer by scarred layer, until the light reveals not perfection, but home.